guys. Dylan and Bill here. Bill and Dylan, that's us.
Hello.
Tales of the Forgotten Composers is who we are. So we wanted to take a little bit of time today to break down for you our recent track that we uploaded with the Kickstarter campaign.
It's called Ground Zero.
Ground Zero, which encompasses the city Autumn as sort of a theme overall. So we're going to take a look at kind of where it started, where I started with the track, what ideas we had, and kind of just take you through the whole process until the final product.
If you guys haven't heard the track yet, the track is, like, the link is in the background. Not the background, the description, sorry. It's in the description, so go check it out. And by the way, our Kickstarter campaign is still running. We're 5 days in, and it would be great if you could go check out the campaign as well. So let's get started.
So I think first we are going to look at the original idea, demo, if you want to call it, that I sent Bill a while back. So let's go ahead and take a listen to that.
Give me a second here. Alright, here is the original demo.
So as you can tell, it's pretty similar so far, at least, to the final product that we had, piano and whatnot. But it's not, the form isn't completed and stuff. Pretty much the same. I think it differs a little bit here.
And this is kind of the main theme of what this whole thing is, which is this right here.
Yeah, so the piano motif, when I wrote it, I wanted it to be, it's pentatonic, because I wanted it to be sort of open and sort of not very indicative of the theme, and be able to have the harmony kind of take over and not have that motif limit the harmony, which is why the harmony kind of turned out to be kind of odd.
Not like odd. It's
not odd, but it's
cool.
It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's as you can see there on the screen, it's fairly straightforward. Just repeats with the D and then the B flat, and then doing it again to the C. But then switching it third time to the minor instead of the D major, and then bringing back to the D major. And that sort of gives the track sort of like an open world kind of feel and sort of like a bigger picture. But when you throw it into that minor, it kind of helps add that sort of apocalyptic sort of a little bit of sad type of feel that we're trying to go for.
So if you don't know, Autumn is like in our story is the kind of an abandoned robot city that humans are taking it back, and like so robots are running away. There were destructions of the futuristic buildings and all that, like the kind of stuff that the robots were built were like sort of half destroyed, or like some were like left abandoned, and it has that post-apocalyptic sort of feel and also futuristic sort of city vibe to it as well. So we want to kind of communicate it. And the motif that Dylan was talking about, which is the just kind of a very easy piano lick, which is
really basic, really simple.
So that like he kind of played that in like a very mechanical, like
it's
robotic
really
way.
It's really on the grid, and so
like
that allowed us to change it in multiple ways, subdivide it, as we'll talk about in a little bit.
Like you see him playing this motif, and then the synth will be playing, something like that.
Yep. So after I sent Bill that original demo, which didn't really have much other than that, the piano beginning intro thing, he worked with it and added a bunch of crap. Not crap, it's good. And so I guess we can go ahead and play that now
Right.
for you.
I'm gonna skip this beginning part a little bit because it's kind of the same.
Yeah. So the other stuff that you hear in the beginning here, that's just high string harmonics above, and then below there's the really light tremolo strings just to add an extra sort of atmospheric layer. Along with those, it's actually brass and woodwind layered to make those swell sounds. So, Bill sent me back. This is from the final version, but it was pretty similar. It's pretty similar to what he sent me. He added the strings, which are doing the same thing as the synths that I originally had in. It's the 16th subdivision of the motif that the piano is doing, just layered on top to give it kind of that push forward into the next section. And there's also, I think there's a flute in there as well. It's added just a little bit of texture.
You're talking about this one, right?
Yes.
So that's kind of like, it's the same thing as the little piano motif, just double. So instead of going, we're going. Sorry, I kind of played it poorly.
Yeah. So
and that's like a very string thing because they go like
Yeah.
up, down. So it's like a.
It's pretty basic stuff. It's just a matter of layering things on top of each other to kind of get the sound that we were going for,
Yeah.
which is slowly bigger and bigger, I guess.
So this is like kind of the strings that we were talking about. And that was doubled with a synth bass, which by itself sounds like this. Very dry.
Yeah. It helps to, it's a very common thing in the film scoring world nowadays to double staccato strings with a synth, not super high, but just high enough that you hear the synth a little bit. It adds an extra bite to the strings.
Yeah,
so it
definitely.
makes them more clear
And also
heard a
like
little
the
better.
kind of the synthetic and mechanical quality,
Yeah.
which is like what a lot of the hybrid sounding tracks nowadays sound like.
Yeah.
So without the bass,
Yeah, you can hear it takes a little bit of that grit out.
and also the body as
Yeah.
well. So that's that. And the other thing that I added was that I think that piano thing that he has, which is that I think that was like a great establishment of the melody there. So I kind of doubled that with a guitar, which clean goes like very simple clean sound through a delay pedal and like with a shimmer effect or something like that, and then with a viola. And a cello. But I made it like kind of very atmospheric type of feel.
Yeah.
Because like Dylan was saying about his the idea that he originally had was that he wanted it to be kind of more like open, sort of sounding statement.
Bigger feel.
Yeah. So together, all of them sounds like this. All right.
So moving on from there, if we're jumping into the next section with the sick beats,
The sick beats.
we have this kind of big kind of rise into it, which is a combination of a bunch of things. There's horns going down.
We start with these rolls, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
We start out with those, the rolls that you put in. And then I added horns that went down, and then strings and synths doubled.
That's the horns that went down.
And then from there, add on the
strings
that go up.
Then there's also this Brahm thing, which I kind of call it Brahms, but people now call it mega horns.
Mega horns.
Which is the kind of the trailer
sound.
type of sound thing, which by itself is like this. That's from ATO Hybrid Tools Volume 1. So just like a dip into the thing. And then before that, there was this bass drop here.
Earbuds.
Yeah, I know. You have to hear. You have to hear this on the larger speakers because they go really, really low, and then it goes into this piano hit. Which is on the downbeat. It's like very low piano hits there. By itself, it just kind of goes like that.
So, but before, because you did this section,
yeah,
there wasn't as much in it as there is now.
Mm-hmm.
But you also did the ending before any of the middle.
Yeah, that's right. So I take the idea of this. And kind of expand it across all the strings. So, which is, like, I didn't think of it as being an ending section. I just kind of was like...
It's a good ending section.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be good to kind of go, like, making it, like, a larger and more, like, huge sounding string chords? So, I just do this. So, to me, this section, what's very important for me is this syn line. Which I think it is from Zebra. And the sound set that I use is from the company called Unfinished. And they are this company that made, like, synth presets for, like, commercially available synths, like Zebra, Diva, and Omnisphere, and like these sounds have been used by like a lot of big names composers. So like if you're you want something to sound like hybrid-ish, or you want some like legit sounding synth sound, you go to Unfinished and buy some of those presets because they sound really good and very professional. So I would totally recommend to check that out. But coming back to this is layering the French horn, I believe. Along with violas, I think. So there's really not much to that at all, rather than just strings. And I also take Dylan's little motif and make it into a 6-tuplet, which sounds like this. And I put that behind everything. By the way, this is like a hardware synth, Analog 4 by Electron, but you don't have to use hardware synth at all. I just use it because I can. Like, it's like you could totally do this with like massive.
But you're cool if you use hardware.
True, but you could totally do this with just like Massive or Zebra because these are like very straightforward sounds. It's very easy to do. That's the last section. So let's come back.
You know, bring it back to the beats.
Yeah.
Talk about your beats.
Yeah. So after I did the string patterns, I thought, wouldn't it be cool to have like some sick beats to go along with that? So this is what I made, and there's something interesting about it that I will explain after I play this. But here's the beat. So what's interesting about this is that we're using multiple meters here. So the song is in 3/4, right? But the beat's actually in 4/4. Like, if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you play it with the metronome, then it will start sounding really cool. Because like the beginning, like it starts at a different place every time at the beginning of the bar. It's almost like it rotates itself.
It moves off the grid.
Yeah.
You know, one beat after another slowly.
So let's listen to it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
So it kind of just shifts the accents over and over again.
Every single bar.
Yeah, so it adds, because, you know, we just have the motif going that's just the
like the string.
Yeah, and which can be kind of boring by itself. So, and the motif is in 3/4, and so when you put this beat over it that's in 4/4 and slowly shift the accents over and over, it puts it in a new place and it kind of makes it feel off. It makes it feel.
It isn't as loopy.
Yeah, you don't. It doesn't really feel as loopy and as repetitive.
It's not like boring. Because this is like the whole thing. It's so boring if you listen to it by itself. Yeah. And if you add in the beat. So like it just kind of keeps the cycle interesting, I guess. Just to come back to the beat here, I kind of start this from the scratch. Like I start from literally nothing, and I build it from the ground up from the just kick snare type of thing. And oh, okay, let's listen to just kick and snare, kind of how they work together. So those two samples are from Project Alpha by Hybrid Tool, which is accompanied by the guy Daniel James, who's amazing at making epic music, and his library is like very aggressive. So definitely check it out. There's Project Bravo and Project Alpha right now. I only have Project Alpha, so these are from Project Alpha, the kicks and snare. And then what's interesting are these blip blobs, which I need like blip, blop, blap, bloop.
These are professional terms that we use.
Like, these are like just small little things. Like, it sounds like Transformer-ish type, like robot-y kind of thing. So I want that to be on like different 16th notes almost. If we move the grid to 16th here. So, like, these are all on like different 16th notes, and it's almost acting almost like a hi-hat in a way. So if you listen to that with kick and snare. But it doesn't quite have that like body to do the subdivisions.
It's like it ends up being just like little effects.
Yeah.
More so.
So I added
so
this
hi-hat.
massive loop. Massive loop. It's massive is the name of the synth. But it's from the sound set called Dark Score 5 by Unfinished as well. It's kind of like it's in the middle area because you got the kick and snare, and then you got this higher stuff which is the blip and blobs, and then you add this thing in the kind of the middle area to give it a subdivision. So together it sounds like this.
That brings up a good point. It always helps to think of it in frequency, kind of.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you need to cover each, because you got the blip blap bloop blops that cover kind of the higher stuff, and you've got the kick that's obviously down low, and the snare is sort of kind of in the middle, but you need to fill in that middle gap a little bit more.
So like it doesn't really matter like what you're doing, but it's just kind of like you think high, mid, low.
Yeah.
What's missing?
And just
like,
fill it in.
Yeah.
It's always a good way to think.
But this is not like, this is a cool groove, but
it's a cool groove.
It's not
epic. Cool enough.
It's not epic, Like if you want epic, you need drums. Like, so I add these in, which is they are just frame drums and surdos. You'll see that I accent as the same place that I play the snares. So
throwing those in helps to give it the bigger picture.
Definitely
Puts it in a bigger space.
Kind of puts it in the room.
Yeah.
And also, just to mention this, the frame drum is like if you don't know what it is, it's basically this really thin but large drums that you play by hands. It doesn't really have a lot of body, but it has a lot of attack. And that's what gives it such like a punchy feel into it. And then the surdos are basically just toms. Like I use that for toms. It's just huge toms. So I pan them a little bit differently in contact. This is like slightly left, I think. Yeah, it's slightly left, and then the frame drums are slightly right. So that together they give like a nice stereo image, and then that along with the beat sound like this. Alright, so that's pretty much the kind of the middle section of this. And after that I sent this to Dylan, right?
Yeah, you sent me this middle section just had the beats and it didn't have anything else. And then there was the end section which just had a giant gap in between the beats and the end section. And I got that and I was like, man, these are so sick. These are sick beats.
These are sick beats.
Yeah. And so I was like, great, what do I do with these? And I had no idea what to do with them. And so I didn't do anything with them. I didn't put anything there because I didn't know what to put there. And I kind of just moved on. And I kind of developed the rest of the form, or what would be the rest of the form. So we have this intense beat section that we don't know what we're going to put in it yet. We already know it's going to be pretty intense.
He's
I thought about, I was like,
he's
okay.
talking about this section.
Yeah. So we need to maybe bring it down a little bit. So I came up with this middle section that's sort of like a breakdown, which is the beginning of what became the middle section that you hear now. That's sort of very melodic, and then it goes into the drum solo.
So I'm about to play that version right now.
Yeah, you can go ahead and play that. So these are the beats just.
Now that's the drop down section.
Yeah. And this is the middle section I put in, which is sort of like a build-up, breakdown kind of thing. We're going into something big. That's the idea. Very bare. Not much there right now. And here's where the toms come in. My toms that I have, which ended up
sort of the build up to the big section.
Which ended up giving Bill the idea to kind of do all the crazy crap that you hear in the final.
Crazy crap.
So yeah, it's sort of. I just played in random stuff, wanted it to sound cool, didn't know what I was doing, I was smashing on the keyboard. And it goes into this big final section here.
Big. It's not big yet.
It's not big yet, but it's supposed to be big. So I knew I wanted it to be big, and I knew I wanted to bring in the whole chord progression that we had earlier. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. And then I knew that I wanted to take that big section and bring it into Bill's ending that he wrote. And that's sort of where everything was solidified at that point.
Because the form is already there.
The form's done.
We already know, like, okay, there are these, like, 4, actually 5
it's
sections.
like you got an intro, and you got the second section, which is like the intense section.
Yeah.
And then you have a breakdown, and then the huge
percussion
section.
solo.
And then the end section.
Yeah.
So like 5 sections. But I sent that to you, and then that's where I think you started working on the solo.
No, I started working on. Yeah, that's right. I actually start from the percussion solo, which is this build up to the last big section. What Dylan had, which is these like
I just
drums from. These are from Damage.
That'd be awesome. Not a sponsor.
we don't have sponsors for any of these libraries.
I mean, but if we did,
it
wouldn't be a bad thing.
So those are the things.
Really basic stuff, just a simple line.
And I was like, man, that's weak. So because I was thinking of this could be a like kind of something that demonstrates the fighting and the war that's still going on in the city. And I think like it would be great to have like a huge percussion solo section here. So I'm just gonna play this whole section with just percussion alone. So that's that. The idea is not hard at all. It's just basically a lot of layering and then a lot of call and response. So I'm going to go through. This is my first team, which basically is frame drums, surdos, and this Albion percussion hits. This is from Spitfire Audio. Albion 1, I believe, is the mid perc hits, which by itself sounds like this. Actually, I should just do this. Wrong. Now, together, that's team 1. Now, the trick that I really like using is that I use the bigger drums to do just the accents of those notes. Which I had the taikos doing that. So this is the taikos alone. not much to it. But if you do that with the other guys, now you can see that the taikos are being like the team B right now, which consists of taikos and this End of Days, which is from Spitfire Albion 2, I believe. Yeah, it is from Albion 2. Fine Drums also from Albion 2 as well. I also have these like crappy sort of drum set. It sounds like this. Up. But it's just that it's so close and punchy, so I add that to the accented notes. Without it. With it. Slightly more powerful that way. And my taikos are from the Cineperk Epic, by the way. And there's this metal thing, which is from Cineperk Epic as well. It's like the chain thing on some metal stuff that's like bold symbols. These as well, like a cartwheel hit with hammer, something like that. So it's just all like in layering and kind of trying to make all the percussions talk together, and making it sort of like a really huge drum ensemble that you can just build at your own. Like, doesn't matter what has to be in there. I also have the snare from the beginning, doubling some of the parts for the accent, and also the ass slap sample, which is like a reverse ass slap. Like that. It's like, it's heard all the time in pop music. I kind of just use it here to layer things. And all that together sounds like this. So that's kind of pretty much the whole percussion solo section, and then we go to this last one, which is the big section. What's your idea behind this, Dylan?
Like I said before, I know I wanted it to be big, because you always need it to be big. But I wanted to bring back the chord progression.
Yeah, definitely.
So I originally I just wrote in big brass chords, which it's just tuba on the low bass notes, and then I think I have trombones and French horns doing, what's the pattern called? The arranging pattern called, where you intertwine them like that. There's a word for it.
Interlocking voicings.
I use interlocking voicings for...
Which is basically, so like the horns would be overlapping trombones, kind of like that.
Yeah, it's just 2 and 2 from top to bottom to top, which I find always, it gives the brass a lot stronger of a statement. So I arranged them like that, and that's all I had originally. And then we kind of struggled with putting in a melody at first, but we ended up doing it separately at first. Remember, we did
we both wrote the melody for it, and it ended up sounding kind of the same.
And then we shared our melodies, and they were practically the same thing.
It's basically just kind of an embellishment of the first theme. Yeah, because like if I play this, like the chord tone that we have here, so there. We just like circle around these target notes there again.
Yeah. Just adding a little bit of flavor to the original.
Yeah. And these strings are all cinematic strings. It's like a very cheap library and old. Actually,
$200, I think. Still,
300. I don't know. I can't
I
remember.
don't know. I think they lowered it because it's so old.
I see.
We're waiting for Cinematic Strings 3 for forever. It hasn't come around.
Cinematic
yet.
Strings, you're here
Yeah,
right
Cinematic Strings,
now.
if you're listening.
Cinematic Strings 3, guys.
Where's number 3?
Like, seriously.
We need it now.
But it's a very good library for the price. Like, it sounds big, it sounds huge, and it can be very warm as well in like the lower dynamics. So the strings by itself sound like this.
Once again, bringing in the motif.
Hmm?
Once again, bringing in the motif.
Yeah, definitely.
Same thing.
And I also double that with this Albion string high patch, which has the pre-built octave, like violin 1 and 2 playing in octaves. Very common thing as well to layer one of those library on top of it, because like it's recorded like that, you know, so it sounds more real that way.
Yeah.
And other than that, it's just,
you know, it's all she wrote. I mean, it's a really basic track. There's only, you know,
it's just layering really that makes it sound huge.
It's always layering. I mean, we only have, you know, we've got the 2 melodies, which we didn't really talk about the other melody, which we should a little bit, and then, you know, the motif.
Yeah,
that's it.
And we kind of recycle it through the whole thing.
Like, we didn't mention it, but in the middle breakdown section at the drum solo,
yeah,
we've got the strings going down.
Here.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, all that is just the motif we originally had, just reversed. It's just going down. So it's the same material, just recycled.
Oh, not that one. There.
Yeah. So,
like, we used to go up this way, but then now we go down.
Just reverse it. Same stuff. So
it's like this recycling of materials, very easy. And also it makes the piece like sort of one unified idea.
Yeah.
That way. So speaking of the middle section, now let's come and listen to it.
Melody.
So the idea behind this was that we have this like melody from our teaser video, which is these little notes here, and it's like, wouldn't it be cool to kind of put that in there? I think you said that actually.
I mean, let's just say it was our plan all along. Right?
Yeah, but
foreshadowing.
But I tried to find a way to fit that in there somehow and replace Dylan's middle section with this. It's not like replace, more like adding it on top of that. So I started with strings. So for the strings, what I do a lot is I double a big ensemble, which is my cinematic strings, with a smaller ensemble, which in this case I use the Spitfire Sable. It's like, for cello it has like 3 cellos, or 2, I don't actually know. It's like 3, I think, and it sounds like this. You get a little more definition from that comparing to using the larger ensemble that sounds like it's more, it has the body, but it doesn't quite have like the definition. And also on top of that, I have this City Samples Tina Guo solo cello library, which sounds like this. It's very common to kind of like overdub the solo on top of like the melodic line, because it has that, you know, vibrato and like
it adds the realism.
Oh, and by the way, if you don't know, like Tina Guo is like a very big name cellist in film industry. She plays on almost like everything. Like she used to work with Hans Zimmer on like Sherlock Holmes and all those other things, and now she's she's like on everything.
She's everywhere.
Yeah, like games like League of Legends also has her as well.
Yeah.
So like, it's great. The Cinesample guys made library out of her.
She was the main feature of the whole Journey soundtrack as well.
Oh, that as well. That's right.
All over the place.
And so her vibrato is like very, very expressive, and I think when you layer that on top of like these very melodic lines, it sounds like almost real, I guess. Also, if you notice, I didn't use bass from cinematic strings, but I use it from Albion, which is a it's like a contrabass double with cello an octave higher. Which is sort of cheating because we already have the cello here. I mean, in the real world you can do the Visi, but like if you were to write for an actual ensemble, you have to think about it, like how are you going to make players play this as well. And that I double with woodwinds, which by itself sounds like this. So weak. It's like it's just solo instruments here and there, but what it does is that it's kind of acting as like the EQ to my strings, just to add a little more body to the string and like the warmth of the woods. Is that cheesy? That's kind of cheesy.
It's cheesy, but cheese is good.
But let's hear it. I'm gonna bring it in. Like it adds a little bit of that low end.
It's really, it's like the same thing with you can compare it to adding the synth over the strings, like staccato strings. So you could barely hear it, but it adds.
It's more like an
something.
enhancement,
rather
than it being a main feature.
Instrument. Yeah,
and then the brass, it's like simple, just melodic lines with these chords. Like I made my horns really dry so that it will cut through and don't get lost in the room. And these trumpets are from Spitfire BML trumpet, which sounds like this. It has like a great vibrato, like amazing vibrato. It comes with like two patches. One is trumpet A2, which is 2 players, and one is solo. This is the solo one, which I use as like my bottom voice. Did you listen to them together? Oops. Oh, there. And then these are just the Albion mid brass, which is I think trombones and French horns. Again, it's sort of cheating, but I use this as like a trombone, but it actually has French horn in it, so that's why I only wrote 2 voices, because I act as though it were trombones.
The piano rhythm that I put in here.
Oh yeah,
it's just the recycled material of the motif again.
Is it this one?
Yeah, it's a new rhythm. Hasn't it's kind of more complicated, but it's all the same notes. It's the same 6 notes or whatever it is. Recycle.
And also, this sort of adds to the it being so mechanical and like electronic.
It's right on the grid.
This doesn't sound like a human played piano. It just sounds like a synth. But
you don't want to hear me try to play that. It sounds terrible.
It's too hard.
Yeah.
And on top of that, there's also this brass swell chords.
Yes, that's.
Which is cheating because we already used brass here.
It's cheating.
But we don't look at this as a brass chord. We just look at that as synth.
Yeah.
So we're not cheating.
That's brass. That's like 24 French horns. I think it's like 24 French horns, and then there's I think octave violins, and then there's a little hint of choir.
Octave violins is this one.
Yeah, when it's all put together, and then there's the choir as well.
Choir is this.
Choir always adds a nice bite to strings,
and like it makes it more floaty.
Yeah. You get this huge, just this big ass.
So that's almost like it's his layer of kind of the sound design, and this is my like melodic layer of the brass and strings. So that together. Like a nice, like fat synth chord.
Nice
fat synth chord.
Juicy.
I
think. I mean, is there anything else?
That's pretty much it. Like, I mean, there are these like background synths which are not complicated at all.
And we could talk about all the little sound design things too, but I mean, pretty straightforward. Yeah. It's just doubled over
the same notes again.
Yeah,
the same set of notes.
The same notes.
Just on different instruments.
And I just modulated the release of
used differently. So those go behind this section. That's it. I mean, that's not a lot of things. Like
really basic.
It's just more of how you utilize your material very effectively, and kind of like what decorations could you put on top of your original materials, which kind of makes the piece sort of unified. Oh, one last thing before we go. So this melody right here, it would be kind of weird if you just put it there by itself, because like it's such a strong melody.
Yeah.
And so I try to spread it across the whole track without like, you know, making it an actual statement. But like this one also has a hint of this melody. But I kind of just let it hang there.
And then it's in the end as well.
Yeah, it's in here too.
Piano and synth. Our chord progression.
Yeah, this is the Spitfire felt piano. It's free too. If you donate to UNICEF, you can get it for free. And it's doubled with this sound that Dylan made. Like, it almost sounds like an E piano, but it's not quite that.
It's very reverby. Gives a good atmosphere, I think. Which
so it makes that piano sort of float on top a little more.
If you guys have listened to the Hydrostasis track, it is that same synth is featured majorly in that track as well. It gives it a great atmosphere.
Like, it's all about layering too.
Layering.
Because, like, you know, we use so many of the commercially available sounds, but like how you make it your own is that you decide what to use with what, and you kind of go from using sounds that everybody are using to combine sounds that everybody are using to kind of to something that you are using for yourself.
You put it very well.
I mean, it is, good. I just like that. And I think that's pretty much it, guys. Don't forget that our campaign is still funding.
Going.
We are 5 days into campaign, and we are 10% funded. So if you guys like this music and you want more of these, you can pre-order the album and also get the book that has the story of this whole concept of Tales of the Forgotten.
Yeah.
With the whole city thing, and like there are robots running around trying to escape from humans and all that. It's really cool. So go check our Kickstarter campaign out. The link is in the description, or I'm not sure if I'm going to put it on the screen or not, but if it does, it probably will be here.
Here. I don't know.
But
Yeah, so I mean, if you guys like these, I know they're probably long, probably some of it's boring, who knows? But if you guys like them, we might do some more
Yeah, definitely.
for the other tracks and any other future stuff that we're gonna write. So leave us a like, a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, leave comments saying you hate it, saying you love it, whatever you want.
Oh, and also don't hesitate to ask questions.
Yeah.
If like we haven't explained something clear enough, then go
We're
ahead.
always around. We're always here. We respond real fast. So, yeah, I think that's it, guys. So, thanks for tuning in if you're still watching this video.
Thank you so much, guys, and bye.